Well, hello and welcome. So we've it's been quite a day today. I actually was going to film a completely different story this morning, and then I read something about the Australian YouTuber Friendly Geordies and the arrest of his employee and the some really bizarre law, and took up on that, and that has just hit the internet, that a fact that a politician, there's all questions now about abuse of power and all sorts of things. The guy's being charged with stalking, so that's really bizarre. So it's been 2 days. Well, yesterday we had a brief discussion about Creepshow art and Emily Artful, and I said to you that I was still trying to process it all, and I'm still not certain where I stand, but it's a hot topic. I don't know about you, but my YouTube feed is just full. And the other issue is there's been creators have been jumping on the bandwagon, and we sort of know one of those creators who has done multiple Instagrams and did a YouTube video, did a YouTube live today, in order to bring that, and has this, with the title "Creepshow Art Must Go to Jail," which, I just think's a bit. I don't know. So I've reached out to Poppy, and we've had a bit of a chat about this stuff. And Poppy, first of all, I had to ask who Emily Artful and Creepshow Art was. And then she's been able to put together a timeline to try and piece it all together. And so she's going to actually come online later and just talk about the timeline. Jail, what about a trial first? Yes, Sarah loves donuts. So Poppyseeds is going to come on and have a chat with that, because it was very helpful when we were trying to put the Lorianne stuff in perspective. So, and the fact that she doesn't necessarily know who these people are is really great. Poppy and her timelines. Yes, I was going to say a chart, her Excel spreadsheet. Because one of the things that I struggled with was the fact the timeline was all out of order. So this is the Twitter. Yesterday, I supported Emily Artful coming forward about her experience with Creepshow art. After posting my support, these sock puppets, all the same person, accused me of being a bad friend, being nice to someone's face and talking behind their backs. Now, I have to say, people have given Katie Joy a bit of a hard time online too about this, about the support. I've seen some stuff. So that I'm sorry you have to deal with these trolls. It's disheartening to know there are so many people that hide behind keyboards. How do you know these comments have anything to do with Creepshow art? You get comments like this all the time. Can't believe that someone has time and energy to waste on harassing you and other creators. Makes no sense, because in the long run you can't live a normal life while thriving and spreading hate. There are so many creators that do this. These are believe are Shannon, her husband, or one of her stans. So essentially Katie Joy is saying she believes that the people that sent these replies was Shannon or her husband. So hello, Kristen. Shocking hypocrisy to justify their gleeful work to destroy you. Their behaviour equals worse than any accusations of you. They're a hate mafia. They feed off pain, not caring if they have proof or repeat lies. Only care your name gets some algorithm to make money. Except it's true, you've done it all. Cyberbullying, doxing, harassment, etc. You name it, you've done it. You have zero counter proof to say you haven't when there's tons of proof against you. Stop being a hypocrite. I can't imagine having time to make fake accounts to troll people. They must be very isolated, lonely people to spend their time doing this. It's with that husband, she shared the same phone and email. There was a small video about this. I'm on the fence. I really don't know. Is the her husband? And well, that could be that. Yes, Caroline reappeared. Hello, Ballistic. How are you? There are only two, apparently so. I don't think KJ's getting a hard time. She keeps inserting herself and keeps talking about being a CSA victim 24/7. Well, that's right. Well, that is true. That's why she's getting all the comments, because she's inserting herself into everything. So, yeah. I'm doing all right, Kristen. I'm doing all right. My ears are still blocked. I've got another doctor's appointment tomorrow. Hopefully, we can get to the bottom of it. Yeah, well, she was back earlier today. I saw a video where she said that she apologized for actually getting herself involved with the drama. She should have just stayed back. I think if the husband has a history, then there's a good chance that he's also experienced narcissistic abuse can bring that to it. So anyway, so she said, found this great info on sock puppets for those who are interested in learning. So she found some stuff on sock puppets. Hello, Isa. It's annoying. Katie has glommed onto Emma. Yeah, it is. So there's some information on sock puppets. I think mine are better. Ballistic says, I'm not sticking up for her. She could be just an awful person, but it could go either way. All right. So and then this Creepshow art drum is leading a lot of creators who have been either rightfully or unrightfully called out by CSA to think that they have been absolved from their past actions. Example, without a crystal ball, hopeless pictures. That's Omnia. And then she says, past actions, many of the things Shannon accused me of, I did not do. I never stalked, harassed, had fans send death threats, called a child a brat, had no sources, filed a fake restraining order. My DMs are open if you want my side. And then someone says, she made 4 videos about me filled with slanderous, malicious, untrue statements. She published my full email address in her video after she accused me of doxing her, which I did not do. I am not a terrible person. I stand up for myself when people lie on me. She got her friends to gang up on me. They all made the same videos. Imagine having every single channel come for you over her lies, then gleefully pushing me to the point where I contemplated suicide. What? That's what Shannon did to me. I thought it was... Huh? I thought it was a lawsuit. You most certainly did say Sophie was a brat. You're trying to rewrite history, and it's pathetic. People have issues with you because of Tardy. Also, it is easy to trace back to Shannon. Evidently, the FBI hasn't been able to trace who was sending your emails. Just stop. You know, and everyone else knows why you have haters, not because of CSA. Yeah, I know, Sarah. It's driving me batty as well. Oh, see, I don't have the ringing. Mine's just constantly blocked at the moment, and it's affecting my hearing. Katie was problematic and had hundreds of videos made about her terrible behaviour long before Creepshow came into the picture. Creepshow may be a bad person, but everything she said about Katie was true. Why do you bother hiding replies, Krusty? Problematic. So this is a hidden reply. How that's a laugh. There's tons of proof, and you know it because you've done that to anyone against you because you're a hypocrite. Nice try. Hi, Camilla. All right. So what we'll do is I'll show you because she did a Instagram live and then she did a YouTube live. So what I might do is we'll go through this. We'll have a look at, and then we'll get Poppy to talk about what she's what she thinks, putting everything into order. Hello, boy mum too. So Poppyseeds has put everything into a timeline for us so we can try and help. And this isn't just we're not making accusation. We're just trying to get stuff. We're just trying to get a clear picture so that you can make your own decision. This is about you making your own decision based on what is presented to you. I'm not going to tell you how to think or what to think. So she says, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to insert myself into anything. Emily's story is horrific and she did not deserve that. No one deserves to be trolled. Cyberbullying is out of control. For everyone making videos about any of this, try to remember everyone you discuss is a human. None of us is perfect. We all make huge mistakes. When we don't allow creators to move forward and move on, we are not helping. There is a difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Don't spend your life trying to destroy others. Has been the main crux, says Wind Whispers. Yeah. And of course, it's just Poppyseeds' opinion. Yes, because some of it is contradictory, and there's a few things, but yeah. I still don't want to form an opinion. Not your battle. Yep, and that's fair too, Sarah. That well, that's true. She started all of this before Creepshow. All right. So someone says, if I was you, I'd stop talking about it. She's a hypocrite. Look what she did to this guy when he threatened to sue her and he took out a TRO, which was dismissed without prejudice. So this is a link to Steve McRae's story here. So it's a website called greatdebatecommunity.com. I usually stay out of this whether or not you support Katie. Steve is a sick, misogynistic man who did what he did to Katie and other women. I would look up Steve before throwing support behind him, and remember this went to court and the court agreed with Katie. Cyberbullying is out of control. No one deserves to be trolled. Definition of pot calling kettle black, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe think about that next time you think about doxing and cyberbullying another person for calling you out without proof. Dear Katie Joy, please spend time with your fam, with your handsome lip guy. You're literally online 16 hours a day, 16. Take a breather. Take a day off to clear your mind, please, and thank you. Somebody did point out that the common denominator is the man. It was Emily's ex, Creepshow's or Shannon's current. So here's the common denominator. But yeah. All right. So let's go to Instagram. So here's our sock puppets again. I think mine are better. See, Twitter users will claim they are parody accounts. There are more than a dozen accounts that use my image, my name, or channel to parody me. But their goal is to convince you to follow them to either Reddit or a Facebook group. In the group, they will claim they have evidence of me being a bad person. Their clips, links, or screenshots are what they believe are me being a liar or hypocritical or even criminal. By joining groups like this, people then become part of the harassment and targeting of creators. Sometimes groups like this can be helpful if you need to collect information. If the sole purpose of the group is for exposing harassment and negative actions, it's not the same. Sock puppets can be very dangerous due to their anonymity. They roll out people to call their targets, jobs, friends, family, police, CPS, etc. in order to inflict pain. These accounts have called the cops on our family 4 times, reported us to CPS 2 times, accused me of child abuse, my husband of being a white supremacist, and a variety of other crimes. I'm not sharing this to play the victim. I recognise as a public figure I will be a target of trolls. I share so people will understand how these are used and why these accounts should be ignored on social media. Learn about sock puppets by swiping left and how to stop cyberbullying. Hello, short order cook. Hello, BS. Right. Sarah loves donuts. I don't think sock puppets can report. So a random account tagged this person on the post. Then I kindly stated I don't know her and never interacted. Then they used my response to laugh and mock me. I'm confused by this. I was not rude to you. I was nice to you. Why run to Twitter to tag a drama channel that makes videos about me? Are you working together to get content by baiting me? So weird. I'm dying. WI just referred to herself as a nice person. I'm deceased. And they tagged Truth Sleuth. Well, Ashley Lilly is another friend, isn't she? She did a live. Please join me now for a live stream to discuss Emily Artful's story about Creepshow art and her husband's decade of alleged harassment and stalking. And this one was called Beliefs for the Survivors, but it had 4 or 5 name changes. Right. This comment was left on Creepshow Art's channel. While for some this was funny, but this is legit my worst nightmare. What I want to know, so it looks like she's been watching all of her videos to come up with. All right. So that was that. So then let's have a look at her IG because she saved it. She's listening to me. It's very nice of her to do that for me. So let's have a look at this. Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, the dates are all a bit all over the place. But as I said, Poppyseeds has sort of compiled them. So she's done what she does well. So hopefully it just helps us with a little bit of clarity, I think. So here we go. This is just, so she says, just a few things on cyberbullying. So we're going to get a lesson. So everyone get out your notebooks and pens.
Hi, you guys. How are y'all? I'm just going to be turning off comments, but I wanted to talk real quick, and I don't want to be distracted by the chat, and just share how I'm feeling.
Okay, so we've got all of that at the moment. Once we've done this, we'll get Poppyseeds on to talk through the timeline from Emily's video, and then we will we can have a look at her live that she did afterwards. And
I hope you guys had a good day. I'm about to get working out, which is why I'm looking the way I am. We had a very low, slow morning, and now it's time for me to take care of some of my energy. Working out is my number one way to relieve stress. I hope you guys have a way that you guys can get rid of your stress.
Well, actually, today we had the Queen's birthday holiday, so I've done I was very productive today. Can you ask KJ to redecorate our office? She listens to you. I see colour much better than anything. So that green bugs me. Okay. I know she's been listening to me. Hello, Katie Joy. Can you please change the colour of your office? I don't know whether she's gone lighter or darker. I'm confused. So, yeah, I don't know either.
You're feeling obviously this past week there's been a lot that's come out, and there's been a lot of stories about creators, and it's brought up a lot of things that I went through. And I think a lot of people are getting, really misconstrued ideas about why it is that I'm sharing what I've shared. And I just want to be very clear. I am someone that has been guilty of making mistakes.
Oh. But she said that she wasn't going to talk about the topic again, and that's what I'm not understanding. She's definitely inserting herself into this. This isn't her story to tell. It isn't her being the victim, yet she tries so hard. That's the question. I don't know, Rusty. I don't know whether there are stalker laws where they live. I don't even know where anyone lives, so I don't even know what the laws are.
I am someone that has had to learn on this platform along with everyone else. I have always had a very outspoken voice, and I'm always the kind of person that will speak up for myself. So when I see things that aren't true, I respond and I try to correct. Over the years, I've tried to foster positive relationships with creators. It just seemingly doesn't work. There's, for me, a pocket of people on YouTube that just don't care or are not interested in having positive relationships. It's very cutthroat, and it's very like, I'm going to expose you, which is not something I want to be a part of. I have been able to cultivate amazing relationships with a lot of people that are on reality television, which
yes, and Australia actually has. I've got the cyber harassment laws here, so to show you, because they are pretty. They're different. Okay, so Bo Roundtree says, my research led me to Locale isn't tracking IP addresses but all cookies, which isn't the same thing. Except they are, and they know she's the toxic one. There are stalking laws where KG lives. She could have gotten an RO if she was a victim. Well, she could have, couldn't she? And doesn't Minnesota's have quite strong laws? So, all right.
Relationships with a lot of people that are on reality television, which is what I cover, which is why I've been able to bring you content that you guys love, like all of the exclusives you get on the Duggars or on Sister Wives, or the interviews I do with, like Lindsay Chrisley, or, the interviews I've done with 90 Day Fiance. Like, it's because I've been able to foster relationships with people, and people trust me and provide information to me, and we provide you stories. So I don't spend a lot of time dealing with YouTube drama.
And she just admitted that she brings stories. And she doesn't spend a lot of time on YouTube drama. How many days is this? Because I have actually lost track. What day are we up to? Are we up to 5 or 6? I can't remember. Has she? It's very easy to get out because court's always on the side of caution generally.
Honestly, I was not a part of it until I became the centerpiece of it this past fall. And unfortunately, during that time, there was a lot of misinformation out there about me. And unfortunately, during that time, which was incredibly stressful, I was in the middle of a lawsuit. I had a lot of things I could not say. There was a lot of things I wanted to defend myself on and couldn't. I, for sure, in my extreme anxiety and stress, I acted out. I lashed out. I yelled. I got sad. I contemplated suicide. there was a night that it was really dark here, and I told you guys about it, and things were coming at me from so many directions, and the amount of misinformation out there was horrible. I was accused of things I didn't do, and I lost a lot during that time. My channel revenue went down a ton. I lost a lot of subscribers, and it was frustrating because I couldn't get a space where I could share my story. I was being demanded to apologize for things that I didn't do.
Oh dear. I actually yeah, I have to get. I have to put a time. I have to make a note. I've got to put in a time. I've got to put a violin into the emojis. I think I'll make it on my list. I need to get a violin emoji. I think there is one, but I want one. I want one. Well, and then I mean, my understanding is that night where she got on and she was in that dark place, people rang the police out of concern for her. She neglects to state that to people when she says, I had the police on me 4 times. One of those times was people were concerned.
And people wanting me to be held accountable for things I didn't say or for actions I didn't take. And a lot of that started because of what Shannon Creepshow Art did. She was the first large creator. Her platform at the time was like over 400,000. And she made her first video about me. And she got her information from people that had doxed and stalked me. When I went public after she made her video with things that she got incorrect, I got obscene amounts of harassment. When I reached out to her and explained to her that she had gotten parts of it correct, even though she didn't even acknowledge that she didn't get things correct. Instead, she deflected and gaslit me and was like, well, this is what you did. These are all the bad things you've done. She wouldn't correct the things that she got wrong. She said I didn't have any sources.
So remember, comments are switched off, so no one can talk. So no one's talking at the moment. Yeah.
It's not true. She said I took out a false. She implied I took out a false restraining order. That's not true. I even offered to provide her the court documents of the restraining order. She just took a ton of clips out of context. She accused me of stalking.
That's right, BS. Well, let me just pull this up. But isn't that why everyone called? They were actually worried about her, not because they were out to get her. She finally admitted that she was a danger to herself. So the people she is talking to are the people who were not around during. Yes, that's who. Because she's the whole new audience, Heidi. I've got to put in a side eye as well. Okay. I've got to add the emojis. So, anyway.
Harassing, all of these different things, which I did not do. If you are not, I cannot speak to the lawsuit. All I can say is that the lawsuit is settled. There was a lot that came out during that lawsuit that was just simply not proven, and there were declarations that were filed that just ended up being irrelevant and that were not, the court didn't even use, and it became
yeah, well,
fodder.
let's not forget the one that her lawyer filed that was out of date. Then she got mad and told everyone to stop calling the police and now admits. Again, it was self-harm. Oh, wow.
I was doing things that I did not do. So I believed that when we announced our settlement, you guys would understand that this isn't about me giving into something or them giving into something. Like, this was truly, I put out a statement to all of you guys and said, this lawsuit was settled.
She didn't get the reaction that she thought she thought that she wanted. That's what I think.
Like, this was truly, I put out a statement to all of you guys and said, this lawsuit was settled. This was a mutual agreement. This was both parties coming together and listening to one another, hearing each other out, and truly coming to a place to understand what happened. There's a lot of noise that happens on the internet, and a lot of voices get in your head, and people tell you things about. And sometimes when you sit down in a room together and you're able to coordinate all of that, you can come find common ground. And that's what happened. We found common ground. So there was claims on both sides that were being discussed, which is what I told you in my statement. And those claims were dropped by both sides after we realized what had happened.
But this was earlier, like yesterday. So this was in the morning, and she did a live. Well, she deleted all her videos about Tardy. So what did Tardy do? She didn't actually go through with the refiling. So if there was somebody, I realize. I think as long as she doesn't mention Tardy or maybe Poppyseeds could probably clarify this, but as long as she doesn't talk about the specifics, I think she can talk about it in a roundabout way. As long as she doesn't mention Tardy's name, I think she's okay. Poppyseeds might be able to do that, but I don't know. I don't know what she can and can't talk about either. This was done This was done in my morning. So your yesterday, was it your last night? Yesterday, last night?
I can't go into the specifics of what we learned or, what was involved. I can just say that once everything was sorted out, it was clear that neither party was doing anything.
Right, so Poppyseed says it depends on the agreement, and because we don't know the purposes of the agreement, however, I could imagine Salts having a very tight rein on it. But then, I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't want it mentioned at all, but I didn't do the negotiations. Wasn't my negotiations. Oh, it's a scarf. I thought she'd cut it off. No, it's a scarf. No, it's a headband, I think. Yeah, it's something.
Malicious to the other to try to hurt one another. And it was a really great time once finally everything was over. Like, everyone felt a huge sense of relief because this weighed on all of us. And I have no hard feelings, honestly, given everything that's happened with the other parties. I have completely been working and will continue to.
Why did she say she's got no hard feelings? It's the other side that was suing her. She's making it sound like she was suing them.
Help them in any way possible. And I just need you guys to understand that just because you think that I defamed someone, that doesn't mean that I did. Just because you think that I harassed someone doesn't mean that I did, because that's not what happened. And unfortunately, that was the narrative. And Creepshow was the first one to make the video making these huge allegations against me. And then she had a group of friends that she shared that information with that all made the same videos. And the videos came out like bomb, 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 bomb. It was like a tornado hit me. All with allegations that were not true. All with things that did not happen to me. And I couldn't say anything because I was in a position of being completely and utterly gaslit. The angry mob did not care what I had to say. They only wanted to believe what was being told to them by creators that didn't actually have evidence, hadn't spoken to me, hadn't gotten the other side, hadn't really done much of anything, which is why when I have been doing my content, as you've noticed, I've become so much more balanced. And that's purposeful because I think it's important that everyone shows every side.
Okay. Because I didn't plan to create. This was on her. She saved this one on her Instagram, so I missed this one. This one was oh yes, they will eat it up. That wasn't that she's hard done by. Hello, Gingerly.
And I think you need to remember that everyone that you're talking about is like a person. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I take ownership for those mistakes. But to repeatedly be told over and over and over again, you're just a shitty person. You don't get to be absolved of the crap that you did when you're hearing this about things that you didn't do. So there's a lot of people that have opinions right now. There's a lot of people that are showing up trying to start controversy in my comments. There's all these sock puppet accounts showing up. All I'm trying to do today is just show to you guys, this is what creators go through. This isn't me. I'm not unique. Like, what I experienced, so many other people go through. Creators go through this all the time. Public figures go through this all the time. I understand and recognize I have a public platform. I understand and recognize that, like, I put it out there, so I should be able to take the backlash, right? But it's when people paint false narratives about you and put out slanderous information about you, then you have to, like, start to be like, how do you fight against a storm where everyone thinks that you're wrong, right? And then how do you even engage with people to clear your name?
Well, you weren't supposed to clear. You weren't supposed to engage with people because you're in a lawsuit. So it was your filings we were all waiting to see. We wanted to see this great defense. What part was false? Says Plan to Create. See, that's the thing that I have issues with. What part was false? And where are the receipts to say that it was false?
Everyone thinks that you're wrong, right? And then how do you even engage with people to clear your name when they won't listen to you? So I would encourage other creators that are watching this scenario with Shannon and understanding the magnitude of what happened here and the sock puppets that are alleged, the stalking, the harassment, and think about all of the people on her platform that she accused of doing things that were really terrible, and really look at those people objectively, not through the lens of hatred. Like, if you're looking at something and you hate someone, you will always find a reason to dislike them.
Plan to Create, I'm with you. All the receipts that I have seen are true. I've seen the unedited footage where she said that Sophie was a brat. I've seen it. So, and don't forget, she's the greatest journalist blogger was manipulated. She's not saying here that she was manipulated either. KJ's biggest weakness in reporting is proof of anything.
I can't say that I love everything about the people I cover, but I also have things that I like about the people I cover, or I wouldn't cover them, right? I wouldn't invest time and energy in covering the Duggar content if there wasn't something about the Duggars or redeemable about these people. They have kids that are amazing, that are not bad people, that are stuck in a really bad situation. So I cheer those girls on. I cheer the girls on and the boys as they take steps to getting more freedom, right? More autonomy. And I'm just constantly amazed at the continued levy, just filter of YouTube that takes what I'm doing and puts it in this lens of she's so evil. I have like literally no hate for these people. I don't have hate for Shannon. I think what she did was wrong. I think she created a lot of damage. I think what she did to Emily is terrible. I think what her husband has done to Emily is terrible. I think maybe she's in a situation with her husband that she's not in a healthy place, right? If her husband is stalking someone else and he was doing it before her, maybe he's an abuser. You know, you just don't know. Maybe.
Oh, that's funny. I said that last night, Katie Joy. She did. She did on Twitter or something. It wasn't on Instagram, except for Emily D. Baker. I think she actually hates her. Yeah. Yes, please. They're not terrible people. They just do terrible things. Nobody cares what she thinks, says Heidi.
Creepshow is stuck in an abusive marriage. And maybe she's also a victim in some way.
You're speculating.
Nothing is all like good, nothing is all bad. It's fucked up is what it is. Emily didn't deserve any of it. So I'm not defending her. I'm just saying that like nothing is ever black and white. And we're so quick on the internet to try to label people as all things good or all things bad. It would be like saying that everything the Duggars do is bad. That's not true. That's not true at all. You know?
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, boy.
Well, there's good things that these kids do every single day. You know, there's positive changes and things they're doing for their communities. And, you know, just they're not terrible people. Have terrible things happened around them? Yes. Are they involved in a terrible cult? Some of them, yes. But a lot of them are victims too. So it's just remembering that, you know, we're always so quick to find the next big target or the hit or the thing that's going to make us the most money. And I saw a comment by someone who said, like, just because Creepshow is getting dragged now, other creators like Hopeless Peaches and Katie don't get to be redeemed. And it's like, first of all, I have to remember that a lot of these people are like 15, 12. I mean, because I think a lot of the creators, the kids that watched her, she has like a younger audience, like 12 to 18 maybe. But if you're growing up in that culture, one of the biggest things I think you should learn as you come into becoming an adult is that it's so easy to judge what you don't know. And it's so easy to like, when you're not feeling good about yourself, like lashing out on other people. And also when you're not feeling good about yourself, like to only find the negative in people. And if you go to her channel and you listen to her videos, it's very clear that her content is very negative. And so if you're watching that content and
So what do you reckon?
you're enjoying negative content, maybe you should also spend some time watching some not so negative content so you can feel good and feel like uplifted. And so it's not just so like getting you angry and getting you riled up, because it's a manipulation of the audience to weaponize the channel against creators that you don't like. That's why I try not to talk about a lot of creators on my channel, just because I don't want to rile people up to hate people. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people wanting your subscribers, people wanting your attention, different creators collaborating together to try to harass and dox and like hurt people. And I just stepped away from like everything. I don't have creator friends. I've have zero creator friends, actually. Like, I have a handful of people that I talk to regularly, and it's nobody on YouTube. And
Retained in the eyes of the holiest of holies, ScoMo, they're magnificent. Magnificent and ScoMo would not be two words I would put in the same sentence. Amy Duggar, is she a YouTube creator? Is she? Yeah, I wouldn't put ScoMo and magnificent in the same sentence. Bush maneuver.
That's purposeful, because I've found not to have the best positive relationship with other creators. It's just, I haven't found it to be a trustworthy environment. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's not what I've seen. I think there's a lot of very talented creators. I just also know that money, power, and this need for like clout can really drive people to do things that they wouldn't normally do or whatever. So I've been sharing today about the sock puppets, about the harassment, about all of that, not to say like I'm a victim, but more to just be like, you know what, like every creator will go through this. If you get big enough, if you get enough of an audience, you're going to get a hate train. If you get enough people that are following you, you're going to get haters. You're going to get people that don't like you. You're going to have troll accounts stalking you. You're going to have everybody trying to drag you down.
Tracy says she's talking about herself. Did anyone see the live on YouTube today at all? It went for 40 minutes, I believe. There's about 5 people talking.
And it comes down to what you're going to put and focus your energy on. And I have continued to focus my energy on, for the last 7 months, on 1, healing from what I went through because it was traumatic. 2, making sure that I stay true to my content and true to everyone that's around me, and making sure that I deliver on content that I find has integrity, credibility, and isn't hate-filled. I have
credibility. What did she say? Credibility, integrity, and not hate-filled. But then again, I never see YouTube creators spend 80% of their time talking about how they're targeted. I think so. Sarah Loves Donuts. I think that's what it is.
Been able to cover some awesome stories. We've been able to tackle and dive into cults. We have been able to dissect, like purity culture and the patriarchal, like just dynamics of the IBLP and all of these very toxic Christian cults. And that's where I feel like I'm doing the most work and where I feel like the safest. I don't feel safe in this other space where people want to tear each other down. I would rather tear down a cult that is actually literally harming people than tearing down a creator that's making a video. That's not my interest.
Undissect. I know. Is that a word? Undissect? She needs a safe space.
So I'm not going to label any of these people that are like saying hateful things about me as bad people. But when you're told over and over and over again that you're bad and people hate you, it does take a toll on you. And, if you're one of those people constantly telling someone in comments, I hate you, you're a terrible person, you can't be redeemed, ask yourself why you're saying those things. Why is someone not redeemable?
What about Josh Duggar? I'm just going to put it straight out there. She has just said, why are you saying that no one's redeemable? Let's have a listen.
And, you know, if you're one of those people constantly telling someone in comments, I hate you, you're a terrible person, you can't be redeemed, ask yourself why you're saying those things. Why is someone not redeemable?
Josh Duggar. I'm just throwing it out there. Hello, Diane. How are you? I always have to do a double take, Diane, when I see your name because your surname was my married name. And it's like, what?
What crimes did I actually commit, right? Is the injustice so great that someone is completely and utterly incapable of doing anything good? Or is it that you just want to have someone to hate and be hateful about? That's kind of always what I'm wrestling with. I don't want people to hate Shannon. I don't want people to hate any of these creators. I've only ever wanted peace. And if these creators actually would be honest and like willing to have a conversation with me, my DMs are always open.
Shall I?
And I've yet to hear from a creator that actually wants to hear my side.
Shall I? I'm going to write the Influencer's Guide to Clout, Chapter 1, Always Make Up Words. Well, the thing is, my DMs are also open. You want me to, Sarah Loves Donuts?
I think there's been like a handful, like 2 or 3. Other than that, it's everyone would rather hate on me because they make money hating on me. Did I make mistakes? Hell yes. It would be weird if I were perfect. Did I lash out when I was getting attacked? Yes. I was under a ton of stress and I said a lot of things I completely regret because of the amount of stress I was under. That's not an excuse. That's simply an explanation. And I have taken steps to remove that kind of stress from my life, which includes working out, which is what I'm going to get into right now. So recognize on Twitter, one, my Twitter is dead because literally nobody comments on anything because of the sock puppets that have harassed all of my people. People say I block people all the time on Twitter. No. I honestly block the sock puppets and I block the people that I believe are in a group on Reddit working together to harass me. If you're not on Reddit and you're not participating in the harassment, all you have to do is DM me. If you're not in the Facebook group that's harassing me, I'm not going to, I'll unblock you, right? But I know very easily, I can tell when I start getting a string of comments and everyone has the same criticism that it's coming from one source. So if suddenly everyone starts criticizing me about you let this happen and I get 20 comments of it like in a row, I know that there's a conversation happening, whether it's on Reddit or in Facebook, where they're discussing what I've done and all.
I just I just saw her respond to someone yesterday. They said I DM'd you. She says I'm not responding to any DMs. Oh, she hates Emily for making money off her name. That's true. It's true. You're picturing an angry Reddit mob with torches chanting her name, storming her Twitter. They have a don't engage policy, don't they? So no one talks to it.
All of these people are flooding me at the same time, probably in coordination. It might only be 5 people, but that's how I know people are doing things together. And those are the kinds of people that get blocked. And you don't even have to be rude. It's honestly just I can see people collaborating together to be starting trouble. If you want to engage on this page and like engage in a positive way, that's fine. But like, I also have the ability to block out the negativity for my own mental health. And I don't want you to feel like you can't comment and you can't be here, because so many people comment on here that don't actually that don't agree with me every day. And
that's a good point plan to create. I can't. They're all blocked. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Everyone's blocked.
And it's all comes down to the way that you talk about things. Like, if you're like, Katie, you're a shitty person, well, of course you're going to get blocked. Why wouldn't I not block someone that calls me names, or refers to me in derogatory terms, like, or is saying that everything I do is bad? You're just trolling at that point. You're not offering anything positive or constructive. There's a difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. And I believe in constructive criticism. So if you don't agree with someone, you provide them criticism, and then you say, this is what I think you could do differently. And whether or not they take that is completely up to them.
So we need to do the sandwich effect. Something nice, then the issue, then finish with a compliment.
Destructive criticism is simply tearing someone down, pointing out all of their flaws, and knocking them and just keep on punching them down and offering no solutions. That's called destructive criticism. And also, just because you criticize someone and you don't like what someone's doing doesn't mean they have to listen to you. So if you criticize a creator, they don't have to take your criticism, and they don't have to apologize if it's not something that they care to hear. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that somebody else feels the same way. So, I don't expect the Duggars to change their belief system because I'm talking about the cult. That's silly. I don't expect people that are invested in that world to suddenly change. But I hope by sharing information about the cult, maybe people that are stuck in a shitty situation can realize that they've been lied to, right?
She can parrot them, but she doesn't understand them, says BS. Gee whiz, this goes for 40 minutes.
So I have to go. But again, I want to stay focused and positive, and I hope you guys have a good day. And let me just turn comments on real quick here.
Hang on. So she's 23 minutes in, and this says it goes for 42 minutes. So still another 20 minutes. So she's turning comments on, but I don't think we'll see them.
Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for letting me have the comments off. It's way easier to engage that way. All right. Someone said,
I don't know what the story was. Just to say, I think she's trying to show that she's a different person. She's a human.
Someone kept saying, what are you looking at? I was looking at the screen. My points are well put. Yes, I will save this. I will save this live. I'll probably put this on YouTube, to be honest.
It didn't make it.
Things definitely are getting better. So much better, you guys. So thank you.
You can't take another 20 minutes push maneuver.
I've shared some things, obviously what Emily went through is horrible, and it's nowhere near what I've been. And I saw someone ask about another creator, and that is a situation I don't want to visit anymore. I don't want to visit it. So that creator is not worth my time or energy, and that's been years ago, and I need that part of my life to be closed. If that creator wants to talk, that's on them, but I don't have anything to say. And just so you know, if you send me messages about creators, I don't want to get in a position where I'm bashing anyone. I just don't. I still don't know anything about this Shannon woman, honestly, beyond what like Emily put in her video. I don't know anything about her.
Really? You called her all sorts of names yesterday. All right. Plan to create. It's got to go, but we'll be back. That's okay. So she'll probably. I'm hoping she won't be on too late because I want to get onto Poppyseeds. So I want to have that discussion.
I watched a few of her videos trying to understand who she was, and then I got confused because I was like, well, maybe this is all a lie. So I couldn't really understand. Yes, I love your content and how you engage conversations. We all don't have to see eye to eye, but people need to stay respectful. Exactly. Like, I think there's a way of engaging with one another where we're not attacking each other. And there's definitely times, like, I feel like the little attack dog coming in on me, and those are the times where I'm like, I need to diffuse. I need to, like, step away. I need to go work out, get that, like, angry energy out, and do something positive. And that's, like, my same advice to anyone. Like, if you are a creator, if you're thinking of becoming a creator, if you are just starting a YouTube channel, if you are just starting a social media presence, like, this is not easy. And there's always going to be so much negative talk. And the only reason I brought all of this up this week was because this brought me back to a lot of trauma. And I just haven't processed it. And I felt like, you know what, like, my audience is here for me to share things with, and I don't want to go back to that space.
Is it just me, or is she trying to use the audience a bit like therapy? That's the impression I'm getting. Is this therapy?
I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be the one that's like reacting in that way, right? I want to be positive. I want to be kind to people. I want to cover stories. If you don't like how I cover a story, if you don't like the content I cover,
Then watch.
you know, instead of following hate channels and being involved in hate, maybe find yourself doing something productive, you know?
I guess we have to say, oh, Queen Katie, can I please ask you a question? So do you think that she giving up on CS? Well, she did a live on Her Without a Crystal Ball after this, where she talked about it again and again. So this is, I think we've worked out this is day 5 of this topic. Processing experience is sarcastic, but we must not vicariously traumatic through the audience, says Sarah La. Yeah. She's basically saying she's the only one justified making hateful content, i.e. Duggars.
Like, imagine if every video I made about the Duggars was hateful. Like, I just don't do that. Because you guys know I love some of them. Like, I love John, David, and Abby. Like, I love them. I'm always trying to root on Jana. We're always cheering on Jill. You know, we're always rooting for Joy. We want better for Ginger. We have hope for these kids. That's what we have. Who do we not like? Josh Duggar. That's like so easy. We want Anna to leave him. This is not a hate parade. We like invested in some of these kids getting up.
It's not a hate parade, but we want Anna to leave Josh. Okay. All right.
Out of this. Oh, the chat. Yeah, a lot of people said they had to step away, but a lot of people are starting to come back, and that makes me happy. Yeah, Jim Bob too. Good point. And sometimes Michelle. Good point. It's definitely not negative like that anymore. I feel like people are a lot more like willing to understand that like a lot of what happened was just so out of control and just so sometimes you just have to get through it and people are like, oh, that wasn't what happened. The Caldwell baby, all I know is that they took the photos off of the public side, but they're still on their private Facebook. I was told that.
Only gothic hours. I'm lost. This hurts my brain. Guess the less I know, the better. All right.
And if you're on Twitter, for instance, and some random sock accounts like that have weird like without a crystal balls or Katie's a liar or whatever these accounts are, if they start harassing you on Twitter, just block them. Report them and block them. That's all you can do. But if you engage with them and respond to them, then they just get an audience. And these accounts, I'll tell you, are all run by like 2 or 3 people. So one person has like 10 specific parody accounts that they run, all to harass me. And it looks like 4 different people are talking, but it's one person. And that's what I was telling you about the sock puppets. I don't know. I have this Instagram, my backup, because this one gets reported, and then I have a personal one that I never go on. That's like so old. I have a personal Facebook, and I have one Twitter. That's all I have.
Actually, she's also got a without
I
a
had
crystal.
2 Twitters at one point, and then
She's also got the without a crystal ball Facebook and 2 YouTubes. The Sork puppets.
that one got closed because it was older and it just was. And I have a TikTok that I can't even get into. Like I cannot remember the username and I can't remember the password. A long time ago, we were able to trace a bunch of stuff through IP addresses and through you can report the sock puppets as harassment. Yes. I mean, that's what they're doing. And a lot of them are breaking the TOS by what they do is they comment behind blogs. So they create the parody account. And then all they do is comment, spam people that are commenting to me, and then talk about me, and then try to send you to Reddit. There's a Reddit that exists to point out all of my contradictions, they say, and tell you the truth about me. The truth is that I'm a human, that I make mistakes, that I change my mind. People say I lie and I change stories.
So Poppyseeds has a question for the chat. Is it normal for people to share phones? Is that a real thing? Yes, because we were having that discussion today, Poppyseeds and I. It's something that doesn't happen here. It's something that doesn't happen in Australia. So we're just wondering.
A lot of them are breaking the TOS by what they do is they comment behind blogs. So they create the parody account, and then all they do is comment, spam people that are commenting to me, and then talk about me, and then try to send you to Reddit. There's a Reddit that exists to point out all of my contradictions, they say, and tell you the truth about me. The truth is that I'm a human, that I make mistakes, that I change my mind. People say I lie and I change stories. don't we just all as human beings like change our point of view as we know more information? I have all of these accounts blocked, and yet they still, I'm sure I do accidentally block real people, and that's why it said, like, if you've been blocked and you're not part of these groups, that's cool, let me know. A lot of people are part of these groups that get blocked, and that's why they get blocked.
Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it, Poppyseeds, that it looks like that it is something that does happen on occasions. Because I said in Australia, that would be unheard of for partners to share phones. It just wouldn't happen. So, because remember, it was revealed last night that Creepshow Art and her husband shared a phone. And so I borrow my mum's, it's one of the reasons I borrow my mum's phone to play Roblox. Because, yeah, it was revealed yesterday that Creepshow and her husband shared a phone. And so I was struggling with that myself because we don't do that here.
A lot of people come back to me months later and say, yeah, I was totally trolling and harassing you. You know, like, so when you have people willingly admitting to you, like, I was trolling and harassing you, you had every right to block me. I don't block people that are just random. Okay, so there's a Discord, a Reddit, and a Facebook group, all dedicated to harassing me, which is creepy. So creepy. Imagine hating someone so much, you have all of these things dedicated to creating harassment around a person, and then working together to harass that person. That's crazy. I saw the Reddit has like 8,000 people, and like they get really nasty with people that try to defend me, which is crazy. So it is. I hate Reddit. I think any anonymous board in general is just really awful. I don't go on.
Heidi Black says, might share a phone because she doesn't want to be out. He doesn't want her to be able to call or do what she wants. That would be a control issue. Vidandra says, everything aside, KJ has a real talent of how to spin the narrative. I'm not kidding. She truly has. Not many people can spin everything bad about you. Well, that's why I said she'd be great for a politician. She'd be great as a scriptwriter for a politician. All right. We're nearly done, and then we'll get on fun stuff.
I used to use these platforms, but any of these anonymous boards in general, it just fosters complete and utter hate.
In one of the Twitter posts yesterday, Heidi, that Emily Artful shared was about the fact that Shannon and her husband share a phone. And
You can, or yeah, I mean, that's my whole Reddit is a negative Reddit. I don't have any part of it. It's not associated to me. They use my name.
I can talk about Friendly Geordie's next bush maneuver. I can do that, and then we'll get onto Creepshow.
Channel name without my consent. So I mean, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, that's not connected to me, and it is about hate. Like, their whole point is to prove to you that I'm a bad person. I I do think they still engage because
my Reddit, yeah, is that like my Katie?
Not long ago, somebody from there created a sock puppet. They claimed that they had, I'll just share this with you. They claimed that they had information. They pretended that they were friends with the Wisman family. So they pretended that they were friends with Hannah Wisman, who is Jeremiah's sister, or Jeremiah Duggar's girlfriend. And they wanted me.
Yes. So it's come out that allegedly they share a phone. So, Heidi, yes, I did. So that's what I said.
They sent me a message and they said, I want you to sign an NDA and then I'll give you information. They wouldn't even tell me their name. It was just this blank sock puppet. And they were telling me they were a journalist. And I said, this is weird. I said, are you a journalist contacting me truthfully with a sock puppet? I've never had that happen. I have relationships with people on at The Sun, at Cheat Sheet. I have relationships with people at TV show Ace, Daily Soap Dish, or one of those soap net, the soap net, the whatever that channel is. I've editor contacts at Hollywood Life. So I have contacts at all these different places. And generally, when you have people like that have information or want to exchange information, you do it with like a real account and you don't have to use like NDAs and stuff. So it just lit off a ton of red flags for me. And then immediately they got really upset because they knew they weren't going to get what I wanted from me, what they wanted from me. And so then they started just littering my inbox with just abusive things, calling me like a diaper wearing person and a bitch and a cunt and all of these terrible things. And I was like, this is so unprofessional. And then they took these recordings that they...
Someone just talked about, I would understand, this gaslight, but KJ, the evidence, your videos from your mouth, no one is lying except you. So basically she has contacts that rumour. It goes in a circle, drama, Coma. Because it started off about Creepshow and Emily, and now it's come around about her. And then
they did to me, and then they published it in the Reddit. So I know because people on Reddit were talking about it. Someone from there was like, this is what's happening. So they do engage constantly. And it's, I mean, you can't control that many people. Which is why I always tell people, like, don't engage, don't be rude, don't contact these people, don't leave hateful comments. Yeah, that's an account that's a harassment account. Pods P. There's like a group of women that have been doing this to me for a long time. No, I'm not in the Reddit group, and they're not nice to me there. It's literally a Reddit in my channel's name, and I'm not welcome there. And they're like, if I ever try to post in there, they're so mean, so I don't even go there. And then, of course, they'll post this now and say that I'm lying. So I think one time I got completely doxxed in there. So somebody posted pictures of my neighbor's okay. I stopped going to that Reddit because a year ago, somebody went into that Reddit and they posted photos of my next door neighbors with their grandson. I don't know where they got the photos. I don't follow my next door neighbors on any social media. I hadn't even seen this child before. And they published the photo, multiple photos of my next door neighbors in the subreddit. And they said it was against the rules, and they said it wasn't anyone in that Reddit, but it didn't matter. It happened in that Reddit. And when I got upset, I was gaslit by them.
Where's the receipts, or it didn't happen? Is that right?
said that I need to stop accusing them of doing things. I'm like, you guys are allowing this docs came in. They published my next door neighbor's address. My address got shared in there as well. And once that happened, I don't even look in that Reddit.
I believe she's blocked anyway. However, her address is on her business documentation, I understand.
I mean, they literally, 2 people in my life that I don't have a relationship with and a little boy that I've never met were published to hurt me. I was like, this is a little boy. I don't even know this little boy. And that was put on that Reddit. And then
How was a photo of her neighbor supposed to hurt her?
Reddit admins will say, well, we didn't do that. That was somebody else. But it didn't matter. It happened in their Reddit. And so, you know, you can't accuse someone of being a bad person when there's people in the group doing bad things. It's just so much hypocrisy. I really wish that they would just move on, to be honest, but I can't. And I'm not, again, playing the victim. That was just honestly like that was the only time I ever posted in there. I asked them to remove it, and they got mad at me. And that Reddit was actually started by former members of mine who were mad at me. So they got mad at me, and then they started a Reddit. And they are collaborating with known trolls that have done a lot of terrible things to me. Oh yeah, the things they've done are way worse than anything I've ever done. For sure. But again, I'm not getting stuck in them. I don't think all 8,000 people in there hate me, to be honest. I think a lot of people lurk in there. I know that some of my followers are in there and they just follow and see what people are talking about. But I don't engage in there. I haven't been in that Reddit in such a long time.
Hello, Mimo Dragon.
I don't know. People get wrong. People think that if I say something, they take things personal. So a lot of Duggar fans don't like me. All right. So I have to go. I'm going to get working out. But be nice to each other. Like if you're engaging in negative behavior, try not to.
Okay, she's nearly done. Yay!
Yeah, they say that I'm rude to people on Instagram. And sometimes I do snap at people and I feel bad. And if I get it wrong, I acknowledge it. But a lot of time it is just people trolling. And I've had a lot of trolls. And my responsibility is just not responding to it anymore. Which is what I've been trying to work on. All right, I gotta go, you guys.
Okay, so
be nice to people. If you have an idea about who I am, my DMs are open, except I don't really respond to them. But if you are a creator, you can reach out. Bye, guys.
So do I want to? Okay. Well, she was talking about trolls, and I want to show you something because Osbel made something for us. Let me just pull it up. If you're in the Discord, you will have seen it. It is the troll squatter. That's how we deal with trolls. It's the troll squatter. Osbel, I love it. I love it how it's in the shape of Australia. It just says troll swatter. So what do you call these? What do you call these in the US? because we call them a fly swat. This is called a fly swatter. You swat. So anyway, so we're ready for trolls. I ain't afraid of no trolls. Bring it on, trolls. Hey, a fly swatter. Okay, cool. It is a swatter without Tasmania. Actually, no, this is Tasmania down here. Poppy, this is Tasmania here. It's a splat. All right. Just going to have a brief chat about another YouTube drama, and then we'll get on to Creepshow. So I won't be very long. So I did a video today. So I had another video planned today, and I happened to find out that there was a confirmation as a troll. If you haven't seen it, there is a YouTuber called Friendly Geordies who is getting sued by a New South Wales politician. And we're talking about stalking, and we're talking about harassment. And this is Tasmania already got splattered. This is John Barilaro. I said it right. I finally said it right. Got his name right. This is John Barilaro. He is the Deputy Premier of New South Wales. Now, Friendly Geordies is a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber, comedian, journalist. So he does. He has a few things. He has a podcast channel. He has a Friendly Geordies channel. He has one under his own name. But he essentially focus on calling out corruption among politicians. So the Deputy Premier, John Barilaro, is suing YouTube comedian Friendly Geordies for defamation. He's a stand-up comedian that uses and also does political satire. So he's been his producer has been arrested for allegedly stalking and intimidating New South Wales Deputy Premier. So the guy was arrested in his home on June the 4th, and he's going to go to court. Poor baby can't take jokes. There is actually a video where I've said tread tightly, New South Wales. Yes, apparently so. The thing that so this is the ABC. So they're saying that there were two events. So he was charged with 2 counts of stalking to intimidate with an intent to cause physical or mental harm. So they said on the first of the alleged offences occurred on April 19 at Macquarie University, where Mr. Barilaro was speaking. The second event occurred on June the 4th, the same day he was arrested. Now, I wonder whether they say what the incident was. The first incident was at the Macquarie University. He was dressed up as Mario. Was it Luigi? It was either Mario or Luigi, because they call him Bruz. That's the nickname that they have for him. And they went to his press thing dressed up as one of the. I can't remember off the top of my head. The second event was he wanted to give him back some legal papers that had a mistake. Luigi, was it Luigi? Yeah, when is Luigi? Thank you. So Super, so it's, his nickname is Super Barilaro Bruz. So it's actually quite So we have a video of the interaction with the Deputy Premier, and it does not appear to accord with the police facts. Mr. Davis told the ABC that Mr. Lanka had asked Mr. Barilaro legitimate journalistic questions, and it was outrageous that they were arrested for what was described as trivial actions. So this is one of the pictures of the arrest. So he's got strict bail conditions. New South Wales Treasurer said he wasn't aware of the arrest but had complete faith that the police would manage the matter appropriate. We support free speech. That's a significant Liberal principle, so it's not really an issue for us. Deputy Nationals leader said people need to be mindful about how they acted and behaved when using social media. It is hilarious. There is a video. So there's a video where Friendly Geordies here we go. It's in here. It's on this article. I don't agree with all of his actions. It says in the video, Mr. Shanks, it says, in a statement of claim lodged last month, lawyers for Mr. Barilaro said he was defamed by Mr. Shanks in a video published in September titled Bruz. In the video, Mr. Shanks delivers his community on camera while sitting in a bathtub at Mr. Barilaro's Albury property that he rented on Airbnb. In the video, he allegedly insulted the Deputy Premier in reference to Mr. Barilaro's Italian heritage. Solicitors for Mr. Barilaro allege Bruz and two other videos imply Mr. Barilaro is a corrupt con man, committed perjury and acted corruptly by engaging in blackmail. The interesting thing is that there are receipts for those things as well. So Nationals leader is also suing Google for not responding to his request to have the video removed. He didn't respond. But when he was leaving the Airbnb, the guy puts in Luigi figures all over the Airbnb, like in the bed, so that when he pulls down the covers, there's Luigi. Airbnb. But what about Big Kev? So this was, I don't know where Big Kev is. Let's have a look. That's the other thing is, how is that threatening? I don't know, Alberta. The other thing is, it's he also says in the video that he did the deed in both of the houses as well. So, yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find a picture of it. I know everyone's come for Creepshow, the Creepshow discussion, which I've sort of been really naughty and I've pulled that back to the end. So I'm sorry if you're waiting for everybody. I'm just keeping the audience waiting. Isn't that what you do? Where are we? Friendly Geordies, Barilaro. This is, here we go. He also showed the Premier as a figure as well. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, here it is. Oh, here we go. I'll just show this. I don't know what this is going to be. It says hits back at Super Barilaro. This is the guy. So he's got Hugh Barilaro as Bravo, and that's the Premier. So this is the Premier of New South Wales, and this is the Deputy Leader of New South Wales. So he's done them as Mario.
Sabi Barilaro, do you like?
This is the video. So this is part of the. All right.
Sabi Barilaro, do you like these koalas?
All right, come on, play, internet, play.
Sabi Barilaro, do you like these koalas? We've approved the countless development and logging proposals in koala habitat. Starving them, fast forwarding their extinction clock. I didn't make any effort at all in an attempt to save their populations, all with the help of my good friend. Yay! By mutilating labor's native vegetation act, I thought I'd increase land clearing by 45%. But what's...
So anyway, that is what he is. That's what he's complaining of. So I'll be very interested to see what happens, particularly now that there's been that arrest. So a lot of the people are saying it's it's an abuse of power. But yeah, it's funny. But anyway, that's one of the complaints he's got, the Italian accent as a Mario figure. Okay, Poppyseeds, if you want to click the link that I sent you earlier, let's get on to our discussion. Well, that's right. Got his itty. The courts will decide our Bush maneuver. Yeah, that's right. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I know the defamation case is scheduled for the 9th. Wait on, where is it? I've got it written down. The 9th of July. So as I said, Poppyseeds has watched Emily's video, and she's put everything in a timeline for us just to try and help us try and put everything into context so that a lot more tame than what happens here. What is that, Lee? Oh, here we go. I just heard a click. Here we go. Oops. Hello, Poppyseeds.
Hello.
Hello. Can everyone hear her? Yes? Yeah, I can hear you all right. I can't find Creepshow's account. Was it deleted? Do you mean YouTube, or do you mean... I know she's deleted a lot of stuff. I think she's deleted Instagram and everything. So first of all, let's get down to the chat. Does deleting stuff prove or mean that you're guilty of something? In your opinion? No? All right. So what would be... Sorry.
No.
I said, what would be the reasons why you would delete something?
There could be a lot of reasons. You know, a lot of rational ones and a lot of irrational ones. The obvious one being that you're trying to hide something that you did.
Oh,
but
you can't hear her? Okay, they're saying they can't hear her. Can't hear you. Can everybody hear Poppy? Is it the settings?
Yeah. So the obvious one is that they've done something that they're trying to hide.
Right.
Other things could just be that, they don't stand by certain opinions anymore, or they've realized that what they've said is wrong, or, not necessarily problematic, but just not correct, or maybe they just don't like having their stuff all over the internet. I mean, I delete most of the things I post on the internet from time to time, and it's not because I'm guilty of anything, but I just don't like the idea that in 30 years people will know what I've been saying on the internet, 30 years in the past. You just never know. And it's not because I'm scared. I just would rather not have future employers or whoever just have my entire life visible to them. But a whole number of reasons. I don't think deleting things is a straight up indication that you've done something wrong.
Right.
In
Okay.
this sort of context, it's probably a good sign that you've done something that you're trying to hide. But
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you watched. Everyone's saying you're a little bit soft. I've got the volume up on my end as high as I can get it. I'm just seeing if I can. Okay.
I'll move my microphone closer.
Yeah. Okay. So you've had a chance to watch the video. I know last night we were discussing that there was a lot of us that were sitting on the fence because we just felt that we didn't. We felt that we just didn't. I know that I said to you that I didn't feel that I had enough information to say either way, and I found it very confusing. So what have you been able to work out from your viewing of it?
Sure. So
That's better.
I would probably just say it first. So I pretty much have no idea who any of these people are. I was asking Joe, like, who's this Emily that they're talking about? The only Emily I know is
Emily
EDB.
Baker.
So I don't really know who anyone is. So there's definitely going to be a lot of things that I don't have the background on. So like I have a personal take just from what I've seen, but that's just my personal take. But so generally I like to see things in chronological order. A lot of the time, I find that if you put things in chronological order, sometimes the story will just tell itself rather than having to rely on on how somebody presents it. Whether that's just me personally or the area that I work in, I don't know, but I find that it helps a lot. So I just sort of went through when I was going through the video, because you'd mentioned that it was a bit confusing and seemed to be some contradictions. And as I was going through that, I think there were some comments that I was sending you that things like, oh, this doesn't make sense. I wonder if they're going to explain this. And then they went back in time and explained it somewhere else. So it's a bit confusing. So I suppose in terms of a timeline of events, very short, but I would say things. So I suppose the history would be that Emily and her ex, Anthony, is his name, were together. Creepshow knew them both in some capacity. Emily and her ex break up, blah, blah, blah. A number of years pass. Emily experiences some online harassment, whether it's trolling or, her ex being, never being able to get over her. Who knows? She makes a YouTube channel, is getting her life together. Things are looking up for her, all good. Then it looks like Creepshow starts her own YouTube channel. The content of the channel is more or less the same as Emily's. One thing I thought was interesting is that it seems that Creepshow's, from the information we have, it looks like Creepshow would have known who Emily was from the very start. Though some of the DMs seems to indicate like she doesn't know her, which is very odd.
Well, that's where it got confusing because at some point in time they're having a conversation, not realizing it's not sure whether they actually know who they are when they're actually talking to each other. And so that's where it got a bit confusing, I think.
My impression was that, at least to start, Emily may not have known that it was Shannon or Creepshow, but I don't see any way that Creepshow didn't know it was Emily, given
No.
she uses her first name and her profile picture is her face. So I'm a bit unsure about how Creepshow is replying to her as if she doesn't know her. So then along comes 2017, I suppose, and there's a lot of harassment going on, I suppose, and Emily is sort of experiencing a lot of things from getting contacted by her ex. Not good. And then in 2018, this is out of order in the video, which was where I was somewhat confused at first. But so at some point in 2018, someone called Britta Filter DMs Emily saying, "Oh, my minor brother was obsessed with you and somehow gathered all of this information on you and was harassing you and sending it to people, and I'm really sorry that my younger brother has this entire treasure trove of stuff about you, and we're getting him help, but that's all I will tell you, and sorry." Which I don't know, I thought that was really odd. Maybe I'm out of touch, but I don't see why anyone would ever contact somebody in a DM to say that. Doesn't make any sense to me. It really just seemed really out of touch with reality. I think that was, when I saw that, I was just thinking, this has got to be Creepshow for sure. But before we get to that, about 4 months later, Emily makes some video about some drama she's had with a YouTuber, or some conflict she's had with some YouTuber who she doesn't name. People or ghosties, we don't know, say that she's talking about Creepshow. Creepshow then has a bit of a wobbly on her Instagram about it, and then proceeds to DM Emily. At which time Emily then confronts her, saying she thinks it's her and the ex that's causing everything. And then interestingly mentions this filter account, which my interpretation of it was that she was using the mention of the filter account to sort of set off a light bulb in Emily's head to get her to go and reread those messages, to sort of convince her or add some legitimacy to Creepshow's excuse that it wasn't them, and that it was someone else, so that Emily would see it as Creepshow saying it's not her. Some random person called Filter reached out to them as well, and Emily would say, "Oh, I remember someone called Filter," goes and reads their DMs, and then is convinced that it was some 15-year-old boy who's now receiving treatment. Doesn't really make sense. I think it kind of exposes Creepshow for writing those DMs. That's what happens in 2018. And if effectively, I suppose, not much happens afterwards. Fast forward 3 years to 2021, we see the lolcow situation, and now Emily is sort of more convinced that Creepshow had more significant involvement in the harassment. And there's a whole lot of things that Emily goes over in her video, which I've left out of this brief timeline.
Yeah.
Very, very brief. But I suppose the main thing with the timing, I think Emily could have done a bit better in her video, though I think she did a pretty decent job of telling the story. Was just being a bit more clear with the timeline. She'll say, "Oh, this happened 4 months beforehand," and then talk about it for 25 minutes, and then she'll skip forward and then skip back, so it can be a little bit confusing.
Yes, because it was. I know that she tried. I think she tried to get it out in a hurry as well, and I found the ending was a bit. That was just my interpretation. So, I guess everyone's talking about the ex or Shannon's husband. I guess I've got two questions. When you look at that, do you think that Shannon is involved? And I mean, there's still, I guess, allegations at this point in time. But I know that there's a lot of creators saying that she should be in jail and she should do this. I mean, has the evidence that has been given, is that convincing? And then second of all, from a legal point of view, I know that Emily said that she took it to the police and to the lawyers, and they said to screenshot everything and that it wasn't enough. Why isn't enough? What does she need to show? I think I've just put you on the spot. Sorry.
That's okay. You bring up a good point, though. So something that Emily did mention is that she'd gone to the police and she'd spoken to a lawyer about it previously, and that the guidance that she'd received was that basically it seems that she's got no chance in sort of getting an outcome that would satisfy her within the legal system. When it comes to online crimes, or things like cyberbullying or cyber harassment, the unfortunate truth is that it can be really difficult to prove to the legal standard required in the criminal system. One thing that we find that is quite difficult in particular is, the main thing is proving that it's the individual that you're accusing that actually is behind it. So, you've got to prove not only necessarily that it comes from that IP address, but that's the only person that could have reasonably been using that IP at that time. That sort of thing comes up in other cyber crimes. But when it comes to, another thing when it comes to this sort of cyberbullying and cyber harassment, often it comes down to so whether the police or the team that's going to prosecute it are willing to expend the resources. Some crimes just the priority to handle it is significantly more, and the state's resources are not endless as much as we would, sometimes expect them to be. So a lot of the time, this sort of stuff, the authorities just don't want to get involved, or they don't think it's worth pursuing. And unfortunately, sometimes you need the authorities to be involved or on your side in order to gather the evidence that you need.
Yeah. So, Christopher says, "What is enough? If it's not enough, is it ever enough for anybody committing cybercrime?" I think it comes down to the laws of your state as well, doesn't it? It's individual.
Yep.
Like, I mean, Poppy's also from Australia, like me, and so when Australia has brought in some new cyber harassment laws just recently. So and I don't know whether we know the location of where Emily is to know their state, to know what their state laws are. So it will depend on the state laws as well. But yeah, do you think so? Do you think that there was enough there to say who it was, or I've still got some doubt that there's full involvement. But as I said, that's just my interpretation of it. I think there is. I think to a degree there is, but yeah.
Yeah, I think to a legal standard is one question, and knowing if something can be proven to a legal standard in a case like this is often quite hard, because you need to actually get all of the website hosts or platforms to release that back end information, which you're not going to get unless the authority steps in. So you've got a bit of a roadblock there. So you often can't have the proof that you need up front unless there's an admission. Separately from the legal standard, though, I think everyone can have their own sort of reasonable judgment. Despite being in the legal system myself, I don't think that everything necessarily needs to be provable to the criminal legal standard if you're not seeking, criminal legal penalty. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not an unknown fact that the legal system is often a bit behind the times. The law moves slow and the law is changed slowly. When it comes to this sort of thing and online situations, the law isn't always necessarily able to extend or cover these situations adequately. I know in Australia, for the most part, there's no or very little legislation that actively deals with cyberbullying or cyberstalking. It's generally about extending the existing legislation to cover it. But to a certain extent, it's more theoretical than anything, because we don't really see that many cyberbullying or cyber harassment claims actually coming before the courts.
But yes, so she has enough evidence, not just enough money. Because there was some other stuff. So there's some other evidence that she put on a Twitter forum, which I'll send you the link to, where she's added some more. So that's where it comes up about Shannon and her husband sharing a phone. That is in that Twitter thread.
I suppose in this sort of situation, I think it would be difficult for anyone to say whether there is or isn't enough proof to a legal standard. I don't know if I would say that there needs to be, or not necessarily that there needs to be, but I don't know if I would say there is or isn't enough proof to involve the authorities.
Right, yeah.
We just don't know. If the police or the authorities decline to participate, then that's as far as it's going to go. Unless, as people mentioned, she has enough money to, to gather more information on her own.
Okay, is it enough to sue for harassment? Oh.
I think.
So, do you think it was harassment or was it just trolling? So remember, this is all just Poppyseeds' opinions. So,
assuming that everything that Emily says is true, I would say it's harassment and not just trolling. Harassment generally involves an ongoing and malicious intent. So you're sort of continually interacting with someone or continually trying to cause some sort of harm to the target, whereas trolling is more often than not I'm not going to say it's not malicious, but it's generally it's often not quite so targeted or sustained, if that makes sense.
I haven't seen anything to say that there's been any legal action. So there's been nothing to say what action is going to be taken at the moment. From what I can understand, we've had what we call a trial on YouTube, a trial by YouTube.
It's a court of public opinion at the moment.
The court of public opinion. So there's been nothing official as far as I am aware that I have seen. But I just thought, having chatted with Poppy today, that it would be good for her just to try and, because she did so good with the Lorianne emails, to try and help us make some sense of the timeline and where everything fits so that you can make your own decision. And I think that's really what we want to do. We want to give you enough to make your own decision, and until we know if there is any legal action as to what's going to happen. What state's Poppyseeds in? Is that okay to say?
Wales.
New South Wales, the Bruz state. Yes, New South Wales. Yeah. Yeah, so has anyone got any questions or want any more clarification? Because I don't know even how hard it is or easy to get a temporary restraining order in the US. I know how it is in Australia. I mean, I guess looking back, Emily would probably admit that she probably could have handled it differently. I guess hindsight's a really good thing. Oh, Will has an Aussie legal question. Oh, go for it, Will.
While he asks, I think one thing we did sort of chat about earlier with regards to restraining orders as well is that one of the things you were asking about is whether Emily deciding not to pursue a restraining order sort of revealed anything about her position, or
yes, that's right. I did too.
you know, whether it was something to be held against her or not. Generally speaking, I wouldn't say whether someone chooses to pursue a restraining order or not sort of means, can be really, it can be taken to mean anything about whether they're being truthful or not. As sort of has come up in the chat here as well. One of the problems with restraining orders is that they're difficult to enforce. It often also involves unwanted contact between, the alleged victim and the alleged perpetrator. So it's not always that difficult to get a temporary restraining order, at least in Australia. In some cases, especially DV related cases, it's not necessarily that difficult to get a permanent restraining order.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from cases where there's sort of clear-cut evidence, it can be quite difficult to get a permanent restraining order. And if we know that enforcement is not that easy anyway, it can seem like a waste of time to actively engage in the legal system with someone that you think might retaliate against you. Something that Emily mentioned in her video a few times is that she was afraid that her ex would retaliate against her if she behaved in a certain way. So it might be the case that she thought, well, nothing's going to come of this in the long term. I've already received guidance from the police and the lawyer that it's not really worth pursuing. So if I proceed with this, is it possible that it's going to cause some sort of form of retaliation? Is that something that I want myself or my kids or my new family to have to deal with?
That conversation that she has with Shannon, where the restraining order is actually discussed and mentioned, what did you make of that?
Well, at first reading through it, I was a bit surprised that Creepshow would openly give out, so much information, or be so open to being on the receiving end of the restraining order. But reading the entire conversation altogether, I think my overall opinion was that, if she has no intentions of sending her harassment or allowing her ex to send harassment in the future, then the restraining order is not going to do anything to her anyway. And a restraining order is not it's not a conviction. It's not any, doesn't do anything to you really, and it would give, if we're looking at it from an assumption that Creepshow was involved, it gives her some sort of not ammo, but it gives her some sort of leg to stand on in saying, "We'll see how I was willing to participate. I was open to helping her get her situation resolved, and painting herself in the best possible light." I also thought it was interesting that she, volunteered some information such as her PO box address, and then he sort of immediately said, "Oh, but this other person who we've also had problems with, who we think might be the one behind the harassment of you, has also had some access to this PO box." Kind of gives them a bit of an out, so that if there is some sort of link back to them, they can say, well, actually, it's probably this third person. So it seemed a little bit odd to me. It kind of just came off to me that she was trying to manipulate or set herself up for the to be painted in the best possible light further on or down the line. That's the impression I got.
So this is Will's question. So Earth 2.0 is a foreign financial security offered by a company in Australia. Is there a reason to start if they're versus other country? And this is financial security that is technically a video game.
Unfortunately, Will, I have no idea.
I looked at it and I went, oops, I got no idea. So Wind Whisper says, if she doesn't put a stop to it now, it could just get worse. Can't she get restraining orders against both of them? Well, she could.
I mean, she could, but if her ex and or Creepshow don't intend to harass her into in the future, then a restraining order is not really going to do anything. It's not going to stop them doing something they weren't going to do anyway. And I mean, it doesn't. I haven't seen anything, but it doesn't seem apparent that the harassment's been ongoing.
No, it seems to like come and go, doesn't it? In a
meaningful way since 2018. At least from Emily's video and the information that we've got. Her comments were that after she confronted Creepshow, that the targeted harassment that she was attributing to her ex stopped.
Yeah, and it sounds, it was, it's just, and the thing that was very interesting was about the two different stories about the homeless situation. The video that Creepshow did and the video that her husband did. One saying that it was forced and the other one saying it was chosen. So, and the IP addresses, if they were using the computers at the library, the IP address would have shown up as the library computer. So that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yes. One thing I thought, I mean, I suppose I came up with my own take on the whole thing just in response to the video, because I haven't followed everything else, so it's a bit of a take in a bubble, I guess, but I would say, legal standards aside, I think everyone can come to their own reasonable opinions. Whether that opinion is that you believe one side, you believe the other side, or you choose not to form an opinion.
Well, that's where I am at the moment. I've chosen not to form an opinion.
And I suppose I've formed an opinion in a bubble, I guess. I'm happy to share it, but it's not it's got no weight behind it or anything. It's not any more valid than any other opinion.
I think so I just want to thank you for helping. I hope that has helped clarify some things for you, particularly a timeline of event. Because I was totally confused by a lot of it, and just needed that explanation as to what Whisper says. I don't think an abusive person will take responsibility for making someone do something. Then again, I don't think anyone scared of an abuser would make a statement either. So there's a few people saying that maybe and it's funny, Katie Joy alluded to that as well, that maybe if he was the abused one, he would abuse the other one, and maybe there's some fear in there. So, I mean, there's lots of speculation going on, but we don't really know. So what would you think? Here's another on the spot question. How would you think a good conclusion to this would be? Would banning Creepshow from social media altogether, having them admit if it is them or not, or is this, if we just leave it, it will just go away and everyone will forget about it? What do you think? Do you have an opinion as to how this should end?
I mean, in the court of public opinion, I suppose, I think how it will end, or how everyone should approach it, is just, what they're comfortable with. Without proof, or solid proof that is sort of bulletproof, it's hard to say like what the totally right outcome would be. I mean, it could, so it could be that if, assuming that everything Emily is saying is true, is Shannon, just a terrible person, or is she also potentially a victim? I personally generally wouldn't approach, or generally wouldn't think about the actions of Shannon in the idea that she might be a victim as well, until we've got, I suppose, more information in front of us to indicate that. I think the information that we've got, and this is from a charitable, I suppose, like looking at it charitably for Shannon, you could say that, given all of the shared phone that they share, their devices, that the ex could very well be behind the vast majority of all of it. That wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. Shannon, who's in, his partner, you've got some loyalty to your partner, and you want to protect them to some degree. Might be trying to protect him by sending DMs or whatever. But I don't necessarily think that, she comes off very well, even in a charitable
way.
Interpretation. Not, protecting an abuser or protecting a harasser, kind of, however you put it, paints you in a bad light. If it comes out later that she's been coerced in some way, then that comes out and opinions change. But for now, I don't think it looks that good for her.
Sarah did ask a question about why do you think? I don't think it's important for people to have a decision either way. What I just know that there are lots of creators, and we know one that is out there putting out a narrative, and I really want to bring in a balanced narrative, rather than just an unbalanced one. And that's really what I want, because ultimately, I'm a fence sitter, so I'm sitting on the fence, and at the end of the day, I don't watch either creator, so the effect that it has on me ultimately as a creator, as a viewer, it doesn't is neither here or there because I don't watch either of them. However, there are people out there, and my YouTube feed was full of feeds going, Creepshow should be in jail, this, and this, and this. And it just concerns me that there are narratives out there, and I just want to get a balanced narrative, some reasoning. I think that's what this is. That's really what this was about, and for you to be able to make your own decision whether you want to go yes, no, or I don't care, and that's fine. It's fine, whatever you decide. But I want to actually one more subject I want to talk to you about, and I'm sorry because I'm really going to spring this on you.
Okay.
The Biola family, the Tamil asylum seekers. You would know about that story. Yeah. Yep. So there's a headline out to say that it looks like I haven't felt like I'm being made to take a side. So there's ABC's reporting that they've heard that it's likely that the family's going to stay, that they're going to let the family stay. A lot of people, because I've done a couple of videos on it and I have mentioned it, have been shocked by the fact that they've been in immigration for so long. Are you able to try and explain sort of how it works briefly? Well, I have all night.
Sure.
I don't have to do anything. I've got nothing to do tomorrow. So just to trying to understand why these girls have ended up in detention. I know that they overstayed visa and it's only by ministerial intervention, but it looks like the immigration minister is going to make a decision tomorrow. So just so people can understand how our immigration laws essentially work.
Sure. So I'm not really in depth familiar with the specific case, but in terms of how the system usually works is, people will apply for a visa either in or outside of Australia. Then there are rules as to whether the application is a valid application or not, which is fine. Then the application will be processed by the Immigration Authority, which is currently the Department of Home Affairs, and then the Minister for Immigration or a delegate on his behalf will make a decision on that visa application. In the case of this family, the applications were refused. I believe they were protection visa applications, but
they were
protected
visa applications, and I believe they were and they were deemed not to be refugees, is what I discovered. Is what they're saying. Yeah.
So then, after the application is refused, generally what they will do is apply for an administrative appeal to the AAT, which is the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, on the basis that they believe that the decision was made incorrectly on the merits. So essentially, a tribunal. Forgetting the name of the tribunal leaders, but the decision makers on the tribunal will sort of revisit the case and sort of decide whether they believe that the decision's been made correctly on the merits, and if they believe that it has, for the most part, then they'll affirm the original refusal. If they think that there was a defect in the original decision, then they'll tell the Minister for Immigration or the original case officer that they need to revisit the decision and remake it correctly. How this works sometimes is just that the decision maker needs to reword their decision to make it a lawful decision. And they can, so just because it's been remitted doesn't mean that it's going to be that the outcome is going to be different. So often we'll see a decision remitted to the case officer saying you need to readdress this. Your decision here we think is wrong, and then the case officer says, okay, we'll change our mind on this, but we're going to refuse it on this other reason. And as long as that other reason aligns with their policy and their regulations, then, you know, individuals can be out of luck. The other avenue for review is called a judicial review, which goes to the court. I believe in this case, what they were arguing in terms of judicial review was that they believe, I think, the youngest daughter or one of the daughters' decisions had was it a lack of procedural, lack of
Yeah, I
procedural
think it was like a
fairness
procedure or something. Yeah.
Which is what they call a judicial error.
Yeah.
So they basically they've made an error of law, so the decision needs to be overturned, and they again send it back to the original decision maker as well. Becomes a whole mess. It can go back and forth.
So which is what has happened, and in the meantime they've been in the detention centre. But at the moment, I think every avenue's been exhausted. So now it's up to the immigration minister to decide. That's the last avenue, isn't it?
Yes. So once you've got all of those, appeal avenues exhausted, there's one last where you can essentially plead your case to the Minister of Immigration and ask him to make an exception for you, on whatever grounds that is. So, it might be that, we don't meet the criteria for this, we don't meet the criteria for that. Maybe the decision was made correctly, but we are appealing to you to step in and grant us a visa, based on your individual judgment, because the Minister of Immigration has the authority to do that. So you can be granted a visa.
Sorry,
it's not super common. Most often it comes up, I suppose, in the news where like someone in the family has like a health condition.
Yeah, like this one.
Yeah, so like sometimes the health condition is the reason for refusal. And that's because they don't want people with significant health issues to become a drain on Medicare.
On Medicare, yeah.
So and then they'll appeal to the minister to step in.
Yeah. So in this case, both of the children were born in Australia. Does that not matter?
It can, but not by default.
Not by default.
So unlike the US, which has the citizenship law, I suppose, is that if you're born in the US, you're a citizen of the US. In Australia, if you're born to a temporary resident, which is a temporary visa holder, you inherit the visa that your parents held. So you would also inherit temporary visa status. If you live in Australia for at least 10 years from the day, if you're born in Australia and you spend your first 10 years in Australia, you can be granted citizenship on that basis.
Wow, that surprises me because both of these girls were. So I think the story is that both of the parents came separately on boats. Mm-hmm. They met while they were on a temporary visa, got married, and both kids were born here. And then I think it was her visa expired or something. Is how they, because I've been doing a lot of the reading behind it, and then the one that's in hospital spent every year. No, they anchor babies. No, see, I didn't know that. So this is why it was good to have Poppyseeds on. So technically they're Sri Lankan because their parents are Sri Lankan, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's had her fourth birthday. So she spent all 4 years in detention. So if, for example, they could keep, and she turned 10, let's just say she was turning 10 and she was born here, there would be a chance then that she could be Australian. Potentially,
yeah. But that's they in cases like this where there are children of asylum seekers, they usually take steps earlier to avoid it.
Yes, because this has got highly emotive now, hasn't it? Yeah. 4 years in detention. She spent all her 4 years in some type of detention. They were in they were in Melbourne for a while, and then they were going to fly them. I believe they got to Darwin, and they were going to fly from Darwin, and there was an injunction, so then they were taking the Christmas Island. That's the story that I've been reading. So they were all set to fly them out to Sri Lanka when they were younger, but there was some court injunctions. So it's a big mess. This one's a big mess. So so this is the report that came in 3 hours ago to say that tomorrow it's expected that the immigration minister is going to intervene by issuing or allowing them to apply for a range of visas. They're expecting, their expectation is that they're going to let them stay. So what are the detention centres like? Have you seen one, Poppyseeds?
They're not great. I'd probably say they're similar to like a low security jail in some for some of them. Like they're not great. They're not somewhere you'd want to be.
Yeah. So I know that they're asking, the WA Health Department has actually asked permission for the family to be united, and I believe the WA government was prepared to provide housing for them for her care, future care. So it's interesting. And I also know. Sorry?
Yeah.
What you can say?
I was just going to say, it's interesting the way these sorts of applications sometimes work out. The involvement with media often is quite important for these sorts of cases where people would have sort of no avenue at all unless there's public pressure on the government. In other cases, I think there was a case not too long ago where the Minister for Immigration refused to make a decision on an applicant's protection visa application for a number of years, and it turns out that the reason that the minister refused to make that decision is because they were awaiting the outcome of another court case to see whether they were able to make a visa cancellation decision,
right,
to determine the scope of a cancellation power. So essentially what happened was that the day after the court decision came down affirming that they had this cancellation power, they turned around and refused the visa application, sort of effectively under the same power, which is and the minister has the authority to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that because this is your line of work, isn't it? Immigration. Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find a picture of the detention centre. Oh, look at that. Oh. All right. Yeah, they look like they're dorm rooms. So this is the ABC, beds inside the detention centre. This is Christmas Island, because they've closed Christmas Island detention centre now. But this looks like this is what they're saying. Beds inside Christmas Island detention centre. That was in 2015. Doesn't look very nice, does it? So anyway. So this is a case that I know that I've spoken about, and I was, I got a bit hyped up about because of the fact the girl got sick, and it took 10 days for them to actually have medical help, which I think is shocking. So since then, they've all there's been big pressure from the public to act on that, and I know that the place in Queensland that they came from are actually wanting them back. So we'll see what happens. I guess we wait tomorrow. Why is it called Christmas Island? I don't know that. I don't know that answer.
Yeah, we'll cross our fingers for them.
Yes. Why is Christmas Island called Christmas Island? I just Googled it. Apparently, and this is all I can find is Wikipedia at this point in time. But how did Christmas Island get its name? Apparently, it was discovered on Christmas Day. So it says British and Dutch navigators first included the island on their charts. Named the island when he arrived on Christmas Day. And it's the first recorded landing on Christmas Island. So there you go. That's why. They were very original back then, eh? Oh, look. I've never been, but I don't know that I'd ever. But apparently, it's supposed to be really nice there. There's 1,600 people there that aren't. But that was where one of the detention centres were. So anyway, all right. So I want to thank you, Poppyseeds, for helping. And sorry, I sprung a few interesting questions on you. But I'm hoping that you get an understanding of the Shannon and Emily Artful stuff, and also how our immigration laws work. But I know that one of the government's thing is that if they allow these people to come, then we're going to get more boat people. But I think that that's just an excuse.
Yeah, that's always how it goes. If you allow someone in, then everyone else is going to want to come in, and they don't want to encourage that. But that's the line they always use.
That's the line they always take. I know, because one of the things was, but we stopped the boats, and we're going, but hang on a minute, you've got these 2 kids in detention. And that's what I objected to. And they're the only 2 kids apparently left in detention at the moment too, according to what the media is saying. And I don't know whether that's true or not. Everyone else is in some type of community detention or something. So I don't know why. So anyway. So anyway, so it's very interesting. So I'll definitely keep everyone up to date when I hear what the decision is. But yes, hoping that that's a positive decision. But the Western Australian government has asked permission, or Department of Health has asked permission from the Department of Homeland Security to reunite the family so that they're together, and they're going to put them up in a place. The government's going to put them up to a place because the Western Australian government doesn't want her to be released back to Christmas Island unless she's perfectly and fit. So I think the WA government's going to hold on to her for as long as they can for a while. So we've got more politics at play here. And the Queensland government said that they'd have it. Queensland's happy to have them back. So it's really interesting, isn't it? How it all plays out. All right, well, I'm going to leave everybody. So we're going to say good night. I guess you've got work in the morning, Poppyseeds?
Yep.
Yep. Are you back in the office, or are you still working at home?
A bit of both.
Bit of both. So you're not fully transitioned yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, it doesn't. Yes, I'm back. I'm still working from home, but technically I'm on holidays. I'm free as a bird. Poppy, you have a totally cute voice, says Will. Oh, I also got to tell you that Harrison told me that you haven't been on when he's been on. He's not very happy about that.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble. Apparently he's going to break up with you. Because apparently you're his girlfriend. He tells everyone he's got a girlfriend called Poppy.
Tell him I'm devastated.
What's that?
Tell him I'm devastated, but I understand.
Yeah, all right, I will. But yeah, he goes, oh, my girlfriend. I said, who's your girlfriend? Poppyseeds, my girlfriend. Because she never's there when I'm on. So, all right, well, I'll tell him. I'll tell him to give you another chance. Anyway, all right. So thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you later. We'll catch you again. See ya.